Hello. So, new fish update here. Many of you may recognize this guy. This is a flame hawkfish. I was considering several different options to have kind of an extra fish to round out my saltwater tank. And this is one of the guys that I've seen but have kind of held off for various reasons. Part of which was because sometimes these guys can be aggressive. But this guy actually came from a tank teardown, and my local fish store picked him up, and they didn't have any problems with him. And so I figured, I'd go ahead and give him a shot. These guys are well known for their personality. They do like to sit there, and as you can see, their eyeballs rotate around almost kind of like a chameleon's does. And they are a perching fish. As the name implies, they are a hawkfish because generally in the wild what they will do is they'll go ahead and perch on the rockwork there, and if they see like a small shrimp or fish or whatever, yes, they will go up there and they will eat it. So I don't have any super small fish in my tank. Probably my smallest guy would be my Christmas wrasse there, but thankfully he's a bit too big for the hawkfish to eat. So so I don't have any issues with that. I don't worry too much about that with him. The biggest concern and the reason why I've held off on getting a hawkfish is because they seem to be kind of hit and miss for aggression. Some people have had great luck with them and they've been great fish to have in their tank, and other people have had an aggressive guy who has just caused problems for them. So this one was an interesting case because it actually came from a tank teardown, and he'd been sitting at my local fish store for about a month. Hadn't caused any problems for them in the tank that he was in, and there were no reports of any complaints from the previous owner. So what I've noticed about this guy, I haven't seen anything where he's really aggressive towards my fish. He does have a tendency to spook them, though, because as you can see, he has a tendency to move around pretty rapidly. And they tend to go basically point A to point B without any real deviation there. And so, yeah, they can basically, just kind of charge right through, and that kind of spooks some of the other fish. Admittedly, my Christmas wrasse isn't quite as happy about this guy for that reason. He hasn't tried to bully him per se, but, it's been one of those things where he just kind of charges in and wants to get where he wants to go and doesn't care if anybody's in his way. So anyway, this guy, as you can see, it definitely stands out. That bright red coloration and then that black streak on its back. Has that almost kind of like a raccoon eye makeup there around its eyes. And then its eyes rotate almost like a chameleon's, because they can move around almost like to the top of the head and everything so that they can look up. And they're a perching fish. It is not uncommon for flame hawks as well to people watch. So this is kind of nice because I haven't had a people watching fish in a long time. So yeah, he'll come up to the glasswork, press his face kind of up against there and just sit there and watch people. And or he'll do this. He'll sit on the rockwork and just stare at you. Not a whole lot phases this guy. I've seen, my fish, like my Christmas wrasse will get right up at his face and snap at him a couple of times just because he's irritated with him. Nothing serious for aggression, but he just sits there. He doesn't really, take offense to it or anything like that. He just sits there and just stares at him. That's all he does. As far as other things are concerned, these guys are gluttons when it comes to eating, and he makes sure he gets more than his fair share. So yes, aggression-wise, they are aggressive feeders. So yeah, they will chase other fish when it comes to if they see a big chunk of food or something like that they think they can get. Of course, then again, a lot of fish are that way in general, but I did really notice that with this guy, that he is not afraid to go steal food from other fish. So you do want to make sure that, I did have to up the amount that I feed my fish simply because I added this guy, just because he does have a tendency to be a glutton and to eat more than my other fish do. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend that if you get one of these guys, just be prepared to feed a little bit heavier. Now, the one downside I have experienced is that my cleaner shrimp tends to hide a bit more with him. I haven't seen him take a chomp at him, and sometimes I'll see the cleaner shrimp come out and even tickle him with his antenna and everything, and I haven't seen any issues, but I don't know if there was, you know, the flame hawkfish maybe took a chomp at him, because technically they eat shrimp, but my cleaner shrimp is one of the larger ones, and he was established in the tank before the flame hawkfish got in there, so they tend to do better with larger shrimp that are established than you would with smaller shrimp that's just been added after these guys have been put in the tank. So anyway, yeah, as I said, lots of color, definitely got interesting personalities. I think probably the most comical thing I've seen from this guy is that he's literally will use anything as a perch. No joke, on my first day that I put him into the tank, this little red tuxedo urchin there that you can kind of see back there with all the shells on him, he actually used the urchin as a perch, if you can believe that. So I don't know what would possess him to perch on a spiny invertebrate, but for whatever reason he was up here towards the top on the tank, and the flame hawkfish decided that the urchin was a great perch. So that's probably the funniest thing I've seen out of him thus far. But anyway, as I said, you know, bright color, lots of personality. And as I said, it really is a matter. If you get a good one, it'll be a wonderful fish and a wonderful addition to your tank, provided you don't have small fish or shrimp in your tank. You know, if you got something under 2 inches, I would definitely say that I would not necessarily recommend a flame hawkfish or a hawkfish in general, you know, because there are other varieties. But yeah, he's definitely got color and personality, and adds life to the tank for sure. So love having this guy in the tank, and I'm kind of happy to see, you know, what he's going to be able to do for me, and just observing his behavior as time goes on. And that's all I've got, and thanks for watching.